interesting because people usually say like, oh, why would you date someone like for that long? People, there's usually that narrative of why would you date someone longer? But I usually think the time really doesn't matter. It's what are you guys...
Well, if it's 13 years or 10 years,
now,
what's like a cap for you?
I think 5. 5, if you...
fair.
5 is like...
By 5, you should be questioning yourself.
Yeah, if you're asking the right questions, if you guys are honest enough, you have already got to a place where you know certain things and you're like, there's part of me that you don't know, but I think in marriage you will know about it.
And how do you... I feel like... or rather, I'm trying to figure out how to ask a question. Like for men, what would you say like helps you make the decision, or how do men make the decision to? Because I feel like 5 years is a long time for a guy to be thinking about, Because I think we've had so many stories of like, maybe let's say you even date for those 5 years, and then as a chick, maybe you're tired of waiting, you break up. And then the guy gets into a relationship with someone else, and then
marries them
in 6 months or 4, or so. Like, what's the BTS of like decision making?
So this is the
men.
backstory of men. Follow me for more information.
Whoa! Amerix, calm down.
So now, I think for guys, how most guys view. This is not every guy. I'm not speaking for every guy in the internet. I know there's people who don't think like this, and it's okay.
Yeah.
But I think for most guys...
This is my opinion.
This is my opinion, and my opinion alone.
Yeah.
And some, maybe 5,000, 8 million guys,
8 million?
Yeah. So for most guys, when they think marriage, they start planning about so many other things than the marriage. So once you...
Walk me through it, sir. Walk me through it.
So now, when the topic of marriage arises, most people would genuinely, and it's a fact, would go to the wedding. It's like, oh, what would we have there? What would we do? What would we do? For most guys, it's usually, where will we live? Will we be able to afford it? Will we be able... How am I going to transform from the life I'm living? Does my income match where I want to live? Am I able to take care of this woman when she comes to live with me? So it's usually...
So it takes you 5 years to make that decision?
No. The 5 years is the planning and the saving for that.
I see. Okay.
And that's why maybe, I don't know. I'm not a professional in other men. I'm just a professional in this man. I know about me, I don't know about other men.
I love it.
So maybe for those guys who like were dating for 5 years and then the chick says, no, I'm done, I can't wait for this long, and months later this guy is in another relationship, probably his savings were right and everything just made sense, and then found a lady who likes him, and then was like, why wait any longer? Boom. I do not support that.
Okay.
Because it feels like you're just stringing someone along.
For sure.
And it really isn't good. Because if it was you, you would probably go make a TikTok and cry about it. So I think...
Yeah, okay.
But let's cry also. Washing your eyes is really important.
It's important, it is.
But I think most guys, our psychology is really different, because growing up, most guys are told you're a protector, you're a provider. So even as you grow up, those are the things that are usually
used to
stand out. Yeah. So yeah, true. And for most guys, that necessarily defines them. Even for some guys still now, that's all that defines them. So long as they're providing and they're protecting, there's nothing else they probably are doing, because they're like, I'm providing, I'm protecting. I've had it all over my life. So it just remains the most regurgitating thing, which is really tricky, because it's not the only thing.
Can I ask you?
Yeah.
My assumption from what you've said is that then these men who are planning to get or are planning their lives, so they need the 5 years or more, judging you, to plan their lives, are they letting in the women in this conversation?
So now,
because I feel like getting married is, I mean, yes, the guy will initiate and everything, but I feel like it's because you guys are together, like it's a joint.
It should be a conversation.
Yeah.
I think now that's where I said it's an individual thing.
For sure. Okay.
Because like for us, on the second year we knew, but it took us, maybe when the loss happened, plans changed, but the intention remained the same.
The same, for sure.
So we were having those conversations of like, okay, if we started living together, where would we live? If it's a wedding, what are we doing?
So you're saying there are people who don't have that conversation?
Yes, there are people who don't. They have this conversation just by the brink of them getting married. So they are asking questions of like, where will we live?
Yeah.
We have been dating for 5 years. You've never asked me that question, you know. So it's, I think the type of conversations, and I think this is where now dating matters. As you're dating, these are conversations you should have.
Yeah.
Because at the core of it, you're knowing each other. And if I hide from you for 5 years, there's 5 years of your life that we have been together that I still don't know.
Yeah.
So I think it should be a continuous conversations in couples. And I wouldn't say people to go for, well, this is a very
just say it.
This is warning. This is what take? This is a take. Cause whatever that sound was. So, cause
what take is that, sir?
Because it's a thing we have discussed. Like, should people go for premarital classes way earlier before they get to marriage? Because you see, when let's say you guys are serious and say you've done 1 year, the second year, and you guys know you want to get married, and maybe you said we want to date for another year and then get married. During that year, in my reasoning, I'm like, you should go for premarital. Just for, not even for optics, for those tough conversations, so that you can be able to table certain things that people don't know. And it's always like, I think dating is like investigation. Like you've opened an investigation file on your person and you're investigating. So what do you think about this?
Important.
And then this. And your family. And this. So I think having those conversations like opens up a lot.
Yeah.
And I think it needs time for you to digest. That's why also even for dating, I think it also needs time.
Back to the creative space, what are some of the ways that we have navigated being creatives in an industry that sometimes is tricky to navigate because there's constant pressure to continuously finance it. So maybe what are some of the ways that you've been able to kind of hack to still be consistent as an artist, while still, keeping your spending budget as low as possible, so that you're not able to find yourself like you're thinking of
broke.
You're listen. Yep. You're broke. You're taking loans. Yeah.
I think a way I've managed to still be creative and maneuver the creative industry for me. I think
because you've been doing it for how long?
Hey, yo.
How long have you been doing music?
I think probably like 9-10 years.
Wow.
Yeah, 9-10
That's
years.
great.
Yeah, so I think actually heading to 11. And it has been tough and really amazing.
In equal measure.
In equal measure.
Or unequal, if you're being honest.
Sometimes unequal, or sometimes you feel like, in a way, like maybe the industry cheated you into certain things, or you feel like you were backstabbed or pushed to the corner in certain ways. I think a way I've been able to maneuver is, one, I've been helped by so many people. Like, I think mostly I know outside there, I'm yet to interact with so many people outside of Kenya. However, I see the support. Maybe I would see it on my Spotify, on my metrics and everything and stats. However, directly in Kenya, I've really been helped by a lot of people. A lot of people in the sense that I've met people who have literally given me money and told me like, I really love your music. I work in UAE. Go to the studio, record something. And there are people who have literally bought me things, like physical things. I remember the headphones I got last year, but one. It was someone who just saw a story I did and actually bought me those nice headphones.
But some headphones you had, my God.
But
insert picture here.
Those beats by Grace served me so well.
They did, but hey, they needed to go. They needed to go.
They needed to go. However, I think I've been helped by so many people. Goodwill from people has been a really good one. I've been given free studio sessions. I've worked with different producers who were gracious enough to say, you know, come, let's work and see where this goes. I've worked with directors who, also this I think ties to both of us in a way. We have worked with directors who are just like, they like the song, they're like, let's do something. Also, we have been able to work our way around our music, such that the fact we told you guys we do production, we have also shot some of our own videos, we have edited it, so that we are not spending every single release. We are just trying to keep the budget short so that we can be able to do the audio and the video. A long-term one, maybe it's also support from church. Because sometimes we, like even recently, as we told you guys, we did the Street Praise pop-up.
Yeah, that was fun.
Just the visibility of being out there.
Partnering with church.
You know, partnering with church and even serving in church. I think there's a joy in serving and the service also working for you. I think there's a beauty in that. And if you're a creative anywhere and maybe you don't use your gift in church, this is maybe a call for you to just go serve. I think, what about you?
So, on the women's side, it's rough. It's rough. Let's just talk about one of the ways that we're able to cut down on costs. Because I will say, like, from a branding perspective, being a woman in the creative field is much more expensive than being a guy. Okay? Let's just get that out of the way.
Okay.
Do you agree?
Okay. No, because like I can't. Like,
do you agree?
I agree. I have seen the back end of it.
You've seen the back end of it.
Yes,
so, for example, for us to have this shoot, I have to either get my makeup done or do my own makeup. I have to have my hair in order. If it's nails, I gotta do it. Like, there's just ways, and it's not written in stone that you must do it. However, it just there's a way it elevates just your visual from looking ordinary to extraordinary. And so some of the ways I've been able to cut down on that. Oh, and even I wanted to add, like, even when it comes to even like I remember like Groove Days in like 2016. For a chick, a guy could wear the same, and I always say this about red carpets every time we're watching it. I'm like, a guy could wear the same tuxedo every single time, and nothing, like, it's like, oh, so chic, so elevated, so sophisticated. But for a chick, you cannot dare. It's like against the fashion rules to repeat an outfit or to even like just try anything in a similar color. If you've seen me in like pink today, you cannot see me in pink like at least 2 outfits after that. So there's just like unwritten rules.
But your flowers.
Thank you. I appreciate you saying that. The outside people will not say that though. So, but thank you. so one of the ways that I've been able to personally maneuver and kind of figure it out is one, like learning how to, in terms of appearance, learning how to do my own makeup so that I do not have to pay a makeup artist every single time I'm doing anything that requires me to be in front of a screen, a camera, because sometimes it's more often than your average person. So maybe I'll reserve that for like music videos and performances maybe. And then in between, I'll kind of just figure out how to do it. Another way is like, I've learned to work with like maybe 2 or 3 makeup artists and kind of figure out a rate in which we can both feel comfortable instead of paying industry standards every single time. Because sometimes if you continuously switch, you don't develop that relationship with your mua. In terms of clothes, I don't always buy boutique every time. I'm a thrift girly through and through, my friends. I actually think thrift is much better than boutique. Listen, if I make it and my money, and you see me at like those stores, don't come for me, okay? But I really enjoy like this particular season of contentment in my life. I'm really enjoying thrifting. It's great. Just find quality pieces. Make sure you just get a balance between a good quality piece and tatters. Whoa. So those are some of the ways I've been able, and I really want to really emphasize about our parents, because I think for chicks, we experience it much more. In terms of like, there are certain things that I'll pay top dollar for, just because I know I'll get like cost per wear is much more. Like I'll invest heavily in hair, I'll invest heavily in like my jewelry, because I know I'll wear it like so many times. Longer. So those are some of the ways. And then I think now in terms of production for music videos, sometimes I'll partner with like a video director or a cameraman, and we'll kind of come up with the concept of the music video together. He'll shoot, I'll edit. Or sometimes Muhanji has shot some of my videos, I've shot some of his videos. So it's really about making sure that the budget is as low cost as possible. In a perfect world, I would like to just show up to a shoot, just looking glam, and all I have to think about is how pretty do I look for the camera. That's all. But in this current season of my life, of course, those are kind of the ways I'm maneuvering. The funny thing though is that I saw one of the people who I follow, and she's really like risen up in her game and in the music space. Like when she became super big, I think because of the fame and popularity that you have, the negative side of it is people assume you have money, so they give you outrageous budgets to be able to kind of justify, like, this person has X amount of followers, why, or has X amount of views, or this is how their videos perform. So why would I charge you any less? So she had to learn how to edit when she was like super big, and kind of figure out how to keep her production costs low, because easily you can find yourself running losses whilst kind of trying to make a profit out of the music. So those are some of the ways I feel like we've maneuvered.
Like what's something that you look at before you expand a thing? Let's say like you're seeing maybe I'm starting to make success in certain field, I'm starting to do certain things here and there. Like what's the things that you look at?
I was a bit disoriented when you asked the question, because I was listening and I was meditating on what you're saying, and also I had a question that it's just gone from my mind. But I think one of the major things I look at is, one, what does it cost me? Because growth must happen, and it costs something. So for example, us having this podcast, it means it costs us time that we would otherwise be spending doing other things. It costs us time to shoot, it costs us time to brainstorm, it costs us time to pray about it costs us time to edit, and it costs us planning, opening a social media handle, trying to post, and there's so many factors. And in as much as yes, you might not know every single thing that is required, you can at least prep as best as you can, because for sure once you enter is when you'll know really how things go and things happen. So I think for me, one of the first things I look at is, what does it cost me, and am I able to bear the cost? Yes. Then the other thing I do is that I really take time and pray about it, because this is a quote that I think you told me when we were dating, and it's something that just stuck with me, and I think it might be a rhyme from a prophet called Jeremiah Cole. And he was saying, like, it would be so sad if you're climbing a ladder and then you find it was up against the wrong wall. So you really need to, for me, I try my best. Of course, there are times I'll do it and it'll fail, but I really try my best to see if it aligns to what God wants for my life, if it aligns to His word, if it aligns to the season I'm in, like maybe I'm being called into a new season, and so I try to pray about it as much as I can, and seek counsel. So maybe I'll talk to, now I have a head, I talk to my husband about it. I'll float the idea and hear, like, what do you think? Float it to my friends as well, like, what do you think? And maybe they'll even add certain things. Like I remember when we were starting this podcast, when we were thinking about it, we had a phone call with a friend of ours who, it was so random. Even calling him about, I can't even remember.
We were actually talking some things about the wedding season.
Yeah, we were talking about wedding season things, and he just randomly mentioned, he was like, you guys should start a podcast. That would be really nice. And he said, like when he was talking about it, he said certain things that we had actually talked about,
and
just the both of
one.
us in the house, and we had told no one about it. And it was just a confirmation. And I think like in the weeks leading up to even sharing the news about like us starting a podcast, we had a number of friends just mention like, oh, you guys should think about building community as a couple. You guys should, so there were little mentions here and there. And I think maybe that's what I mean when I say like I'm trying to see what God has to say about it, because you wouldn't want to move without God's approval or go ahead, because you do require his blessing. I think also maybe for me, and I think this is why God did it for me personally, not even Muhanji, was for me I was so doubtful of starting it, because I was just like, there are so many podcasts. Like, why on earth would we be?
Why do we do a podcast?
Like what would separate us? Why would we be another voice just to add to your YouTube?
The many voices.
So I was really doubtful, to be very honest, and I really questioned like what do we have to say? So, and it wasn't imposter syndrome. It was more of just like, you feel like the market is saturated. So just having that confirmation of like, okay, God, I mean, this is what I feel. But not my will. Like your will be done. Please confirm for me like how we can go about it. And so hearing from a few friends, and just even having like ease with some of the things that we were trying to think about. In terms of even conversation, those have been really, really helpful. So I think it just shows you like, okay, you're on the right path. So
a good way to separate the two, that is, it was money.
Ambition and money, like the gaining, and self, and even ambition and self, because sometimes it can control you, where you're now becoming a workaholic, you're not sleeping, you're isolating yourself, because it's like, oh, work hard so that I can play harder. But when it does come to playing harder, there's no one to play hard with you because you abandoned everyone, or you're asleep.
All work and no play makes Jack a dull
boy.
For
sure, Jack is
Jack is very dull
boy.
Dull with millions in the bank. So I think this is the place where you need to have friends. You need to have your own ecosystem to help you survive and thrive. Because now that means having good friends, having godly friends, having actually I would just say have community. Have people
that know the real you. That can call you out
and speak to you truthfully. And also for you to also be able to listen. Because you could have all this, but you're the one who
hard-headed.
And sometimes that doesn't really play out well.
For sure. For sure it doesn't.
Because that intertwining of different things builds an ecosystem of you always checking yourself. Like you're like, hey, before I do that, hey, do my friends even approve of that? I don't usually do this. Why am I here? Why am I involved with certain people? There are things you won't you won't tolerate certain conversations because you just know where it's going or where this will end up. So I think there needs to be a consistent back and forth between you and people, an actual interaction of
So
people.
You mean you need a safe space to be able to share your ambitions. So that means your friends cannot afford to be jealous of you. And if they are, it's a ding, ding, ding.
Just walk out of that. It's a very big red flag. And you need to wave the white one as you say bye-bye. So that you can get out of that.
So long, bye-bye.
Because I think that's
my pain
and my sorrow. So I think that separation happens when there's good, honest conversations with people around you.
How do you be honest and respectful? Because I think sometimes it's tricky to.
It's how you say it. You see how sometimes, and I get this when I tell you, on X, it's usually like, and I had it when a while back. Like I remember when Mandamano was happening.
Yes.
So someone was like, like we are really in a bad place if all the baddies are listening to America speak. So it's like even in conflict, like there are times where you can have conflict, active conflict, but then it's how you say something that really irks people. Like so you could be telling the truth, but the way you say it, people are like, "Aye."
Can you give me an example? Because I think sometimes, even me personally, I struggle with like, I want to be honest with how offended I am by this situation, but I also want to be respectful and not make it come off as though I am abusing you. Yeah, I'm like being sarcastic. Yeah. Just give me an example.
So it's like,
let's say you, I don't know, you left the toilet seat up, and I don't like that you do that. So what's like an honest, respectful way of communicating that, and what's a dishonest, like a disrespectful way?
Or a bad way. I'd say a bad way would be...
Hey, you're not starting with it.
Start with the harsh one and then you go with the calm. A disrespectful way would be, you know, sometimes I even wonder why you use the toilet. Because every time it's always up. Like when you in your household, you never learned these things.
Oh my God.
It's only hygienic for you to leave it closed. What's going on?
Oh.
That is very harsh. You're telling the truth, but it's very harsh.
Can you add on to that and say things like, I've always told you, and you're always...
when you use those...
You're always, you never, I get you.
They make the situation more grave, and it could be just a simple thing. It's just like, just turn
So what's an honest, respectful way to say
respectful way to actually tell someone?
Yeah.
Just be like, you know, babe, I really love how you clean up after yourself.
Yeah.
There's something about leaving the lid of the loo just down that really makes the toilet look nice. Even when I go after you, it feels like the person who left here was very considerate of someone else coming in. And that makes my work easier. Because, you know, sometimes it's really hard when I go in and find the lid up. How can we be able? Like, it's very...
I'm not laughing because... I'm laughing because I know the chicks are like, what are you...
Yep.
Put the toilet seat down, Francis. Put it down.
You know, so...
Oh my, that takes... Ooh.
It takes time.
No, actually, it takes also a lot of humility.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because you're offended, but...
You're not acting as if you're the only one who grieves people. You're the only one who can grieve people.
Yeah.
Because it's always... I think one major thing about conflict...
Such a long part.
I know it is. And that's on respect.
I really love how you clean the house.
That's on respect, guys. If there's anything you learned today, that's on respect. There's a way you talk to people that...
No, honestly, but even when you said the two sentences, I'd be more responsive to the second paragraph than the first one. Because the first one, I'd just be like, whoa, why are you... What are you saying? Like, why are you coming at me like that? But the second one, I'd be so, wow. And then I'm like, I'm the one who I need to. Yeah, I need to put it.
Yeah.
Right.
So
there's
a...
Do you know this image of it's an image of a man who is digging a tunnel. And then he gives up, and the image is like, when he's just given up, if he just did like 3 more hacks, he would have access to the water or access. So every time I usually feel like giving up.
Remember the image.
And I know it's not a bad thing, but it's like, what if it's the devil who's trying to discourage me and I'm just about to
encouraging yourself in the Lord.
And it works every time, every single time. I think I really love what you said. Maybe what I can add is there are principles that work in the world that God has put in place for us to work, where it's like, if you sow, you will reap. If you know, there are certain ways of maneuvering that, I don't know, if I feel like, sometimes I'm like, can we have like an author to just give us those principles in a book? But that's why the Bible exists. And it is the glory of kings to seek a matter. So we must seek, because someone can explain those principles and they not work for you. But if you're the one who's doing the searching, you'll appreciate it much more when you find the treasure, because you're like, I know how hard I worked to find this revelation. So I think there are principles that God has put in place for us where we can apply them and they work. However, I think it's also a balance of involving God even in the steps. So involving God in like your waiting process and being like, God, this is something that I'm desiring. It's something that I want. and I know it's not the time yet, or from the way it's looking, it's not looking like it's the time yet.
Yeah.
So what am I supposed to do now? And the most interesting thing is that every time I've asked God that question, there's always something I can do.
Yeah.
If I really look within, I'm like, there's always something I can do. Maybe I can always practice or be more intentional about my pen, like just push it a bit harder, see how much more I can write. Maybe I can try this other thing. Maybe I can start thinking about this other thing. So I think in that process is where even our what do I call it? Like our connection with God becomes even deeper, because every time even God talks about being with us, and more often than not, he's always talking about being with us when things are rough.
Yes.
Like it's like what's that verse for, like in the shadow of when you're in the valley of the shadow of death, I am with you.
Yeah.
When you're in the deep waters, I will be with you. Like it's always like when things are rough, that's where you will find me.
I lay my bed in hell.
Yeah, so I think in those moments of like waiting and wilderness and everything, that's when you find or you meet God. And sometimes I usually feel like because of these things that we really desire in our timeline, we can exalt them above God, and God wants us to, like, kind of breaks us to be like, in fact, what you really want is not that, it's me. What you're looking for in that thing that makes you happy. Like if it's the marriage, if it's the success of music, if it's a job, if it's what you will get that. And because my promises are yes and amen, I've not given you that desire for nothing, but it is to kind of tune your heart to actually realize what the priorities are, so that even when that thing comes, you're not taken away from me, you're not taken away from my presence, you're still with me. And I think that's where, even with the Israelites, that's where I feel like they didn't quite grasp, because even when they actually got to Canaan, after, the earth had swallowed, like the ones who had, let me tell you, that book is so intense. I wish there was like, like the way nowadays there's like AI videos of I'm really looking for like the one for the Israelites, for like the swallowed. If anyone has it, please link it for me. I really need to.
I know like an AI page that does. I'll show you.
The only one I've seen is the one for Noah.
Yeah, that one for Noah I've seen.
But the one for Israelites, the earth swallowed the people, I need to see it. So the Israelites, I feel like they didn't grasp that, because once they got into Canaan, they now started asking for a king, because that's what they were seeing other people do. And so I think for me the balance is involving God and being like, let all that I desire above everything, tune my desires to be towards you, and not just this other thing. Though this thing is good, and though this thing is, even the way we're talking about ambition, it's like, I want to pursue this thing and I want to be productive, and these are the desires of my heart. Obviously, they're not just there for my own benefit, but tune them so that they can align with your will for my life, so that I'm not losing my mind or my way. I'm finding you as I'm finding this thing, and it's rough. It's not easy. That's not an easy thing to even accept if God tells you. I actually really think, do you think between men and women, who should like initiate dates more in when you're with someone?
Initiate dates. I think men more, because I think men have a no, actually, I think women more. No, I think women more.
Don't take back what you were on the right track.
No, I saw the deep hole in front of me, and I was like, no. Back, gents, back. Let's go back. I think women more, and here is why.
Why?
I think most of the time, women are usually the receivers of many things. So in this one sphere, let's just agree to disagree. Even you guys put skin in the game. Surprise us sometimes.
We plan your birthdays.
No. And what else?
And anniversaries. And just because it's, Stop mocking me. You're mocking me. Stop it.
I feel like ladies should initiate more, and the reason why is very simple, I think, for me. And I know the brothers.
In the beginning?
The brothers
in the beginning?
And the beginning men.
How long should men initiate before women are now told then it's their turn?
No, like when now you realize like we are at a good place with this man. You can trust him more. You have given him the ropes of the relationship, and you can see like he's a good leader. He's taking this relationship well.
Yeah.
And then now after, because the reason I'm saying it is, most of the times there are a lot of things that celebrate.
Ladies just start planning days after you get married.
No, no, plan. Surprise that man today, right now. Buy him gifts.
Like once a year or like...
Hey, once a year. Who are we dealing with outside here? No. In fact, no socks, handkerchiefs, face towels.
No, but let me tell you, socks. Okay, here's my argument about socks. Socks are actually a really good gift. If you see, your man has been wearing the same pair for so long, but it shouldn't be the only gift. Maybe have socks and something else.
Nairobi men, help me here, cause something new. The fact that men can predict what they will get.
No, but have you predicted every gift that you got from me? Thank you.
You're not every woman. You're not every woman. Whitney Houston.
Whoa.
You're not, and I think now that's the bit about us that I would say. And that's why I'm saying, like, I feel like women should initiate more. Because sometimes the stories you hear with guys, it's like, I'm the only one who takes this girl out. Like, I'm never taken out.
So my question is, it can be a balance, but as chicks we can also come through. But who should do it more? I feel like men should.
Why?
Because men are the initiators, they are the pursuers. And women, we are just girls. We just want to be loved.
Oh my goodness.
And bembelezwa.
Oh my goodness.
Oh,
baby
flowers. Oh, chocolate.
Oh my goodness.
Trip to the Bahamas. Though I will say, like, every time for in our situation, not our situation, in our relationship, every time I have planned something for you, you're so appreciative of it. And I like it, but also there's a part of me that's like, this is so sad, because does it mean that this person likes it because they haven't had it ever in their life, or because they're actually enjoying it, or is it a mix of both?
I think it's a mix of both.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes the reason why, like, most men feel so bad when they are not dating, because that's among
they're just called to give.
Yeah. That's among the times in their lives that they actually feel someone loves them. Because, you know, like, for ladies, like, when ladies hang out, you'd hear each of them call each other, hey, babe, oh, Stray, I love you, blah, blah, blah. For guys, it's very different. Like, people will hang out with you, you'll have good broskies, and then after a while, like, it's really rare for you to have, like, male friendships where you hear someone actually tell a friend that I love you. It's really rare. There are very few relationships that I know or I have that people are open like that. But now for people who maybe now they only receive love in relationships, they will just be like, hey, this is the only place that I feel loved or connected to someone who is not my blood. Yeah.
Has my argument convinced you that men should initiate this?
Not yet. Not yet.
Let us know in the comment section. I really think.
Maybe.
Oh, wow.
I might reconsider.
Okay. But let us know in the comments if men should initiate dates more. I don't even think it should be a conversation. But let us know in the comments. Even we really want to also hear from the guys what they think about that. Okay, so have I given a verse for that? No. Okay, so the verse is Ecclesiastes chapter 3 verse 1. It says, there's a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. Yes. So that means wake me up for that surprise date, then let me sleep in the next day.
Take that man out on a date today. Shower him with gifts
and not socks.
PlayStation 5.
Hey. But they actually, let's just also address this. Gifting women is easier than gifting men. Of
course.
Okay, you agree with me? Because, like, let's say, especially like if your guy ends up being a tech dude, he lacks tech. Avoid those people.
Hey.
Okay, don't avoid them, but it's all
just laugh.
It's all to say that men's gifts are so expensive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe part of the reason as women why we get socks is because that's what.
Hey, now, and women are the ones who have money in this country. Just saying.
So yeah, like guy stuff is so expensive.
Yeah.
Like t-shirts, even if it's like tech stuff, PS.
Shoes.
Do you know well, not recently, but when I learned how much a PS game, I was like, ladies, we are not gonna make it. We're not gonna make it. Not gonna make it. We're not gonna
How
be
many
good.
days of spice?
I'm gonna get you more socks. In fact, that's what I'm gonna get. Yeah. Okay. So, next question: would you rather have your spouse never get your jokes, or always finish your sentences incorrectly?
I'd rather you not get my jokes. What? In the social uncomfortability would that be if you always mistake every finishing of set? No. Just
I think I would pick the same actually, because that I can explain to you. Like, don't get the joke, and then I'm like, so what I meant, that I can. But I don't know. You must finish it. Mano.
Oh no, mandazi. It's the amount of arguments that would come even from that, it's too much.
Okay, so the verse from this question is Proverbs 17:22. It says, "A cheerful heart is good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones." So if you get the sentences incorrectly, you are drying up my bones. You are drying them up. Yeah, unazi.
Yeah.
How do you think laughter helps in marriage and relationships?
I think laughter is like among the juices that add to life, like generally. And I think even in marriage, sometimes, even because there would be like very serious conversations you will have.
Yeah.
However, sometimes laughter gets to balance out the seriousness of a situation.
Yeah.
And it sometimes gets to have you in a very, like it loosens up the mood, kidogo, so that you can be able to even tackle
Sometimes the
certain
title
things.
can be so heavy, like marriage, husband, wife.
Just like, now you're a
Boyfriend.
wife. You are a wife. Act like wife. Yeah, it's like, hey, I'm just a guy.
For real. For real.
So I think like laughter, it really helps sometimes. And I think sometimes there are seasons where you just need to laugh through life, because some seasons can be really tough on both of you. So I think laughter sort of balances it out.
Okay. I think for me, another green flag would be, and this is just my personal preference, like diversity in the dates. So, for me, diversity would look like we're not eating out every single date. We have, and again, this is my personal preference, like we have different, when I say diversity in dates, I mean maybe dates where on one date we've gone to eat out, another date we've gone to watch the movies, another date we've gone for an adventure or an activity type thing, just because I want to see how you act in different situations. How do you act when dereva they've entered like where you're supposed to be driving, well, a ditch, sure, or like how are you when you're angry? How are you when you're... I'd also like to have a date where it's like a group date with your friends and vice versa, so that I can get to see, sometimes like the way you've said, like you can put your best foot forward, and it's like every time I'm meeting you, I'm seeing the perfect version of you. But when you're with your friends, they're like, your guard is... Even if it's for a split second, you're like, oh, he snorts when he laughs. He chews loudly. Wow.
Oh
So I think the diversity helps. Like if, let's say it's an activity, like how resilient are you? How do you talk to yourself when you've lost in a game? How do you, so I think diversity in dates really helps kind of open up the spectrum to see like, okay, how does this work? Yeah, that would be a green flag for me. Like, don't just take me out, we're dressing up. No.
Yeah, that's very nice, very nice. I think another green flag would be a lady who's, I don't know, who's a lady? Like who's like, you're
what
very,
does that mean?
Like you're very poised and calm.
Yeah.
I think, when I say poised and calm, I mean when you're someone who can be like if we are laughing like sasa usicheke table zote zinatuangalia.
You know ile TikTok like it's a movie by 11 or Stranger Things. When we're laughing we say ha ha ha. And the ladies ha ha and then it was yeah, I guess.
You know, so like it's like just be poised because I think these maybe because of the generation we are in, there are things most men wouldn't tell you. Because usually it's like, you're policing a woman, let a woman be what she wants to be. And it's okay, you can be what you want to be. But there are certain things that guys are just turned off by. Because
like
it's
laughing
like,
loudly.
No, like you can laugh loudly, but it's the way you laugh loudly. You know, there are those that equal to like, akiwa una seek attention. I say by the wako vitu zao. It is happening here.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm funny, but I'm not that funny.
Not, for sure.
So it's like, I think maybe I would put it under mannerisms too. Like just have good mannerisms. Because I think mannerisms, because you know, how people do it, they're like, this is the person I'm introducing to my friends, the person I want to be around, my family. So that is something most people consider. If not all, maybe others are okay.
Yeah.
But most people consider mannerisms. How are you? Are you tidy enough on this table? I'm just saying things that I would look at, you know. So mannerism. I would say mannerisms is a green flag. How else would we be able to like identify an idol in our lives?
I think if God tells you to let go of it and you're struggling. Yeah, like if you feel like your identity is super attached to it, and I say that calling myself out, or you feel like lost. If you feel lost without it, anxious without it, if you feel like if you're not doing this thing, or if you're not related to this person, or if you're not like called by this name, doctor, what, professor, what, like like if you don't have it, you feel lost. It's like, who am I without this? How will my life be without this? Yeah, so
like that thing of like, if God told you to drop it and you're like, hey, God, I can't.
Yeah, and I think, to be honest, I think there is a space for that, like the struggle. And it reminds me of like the story of Abraham and his son, where like when God told him to sacrifice his son that he had prayed for. You know, sometimes that's like especially with Christians, you can even rebuke that voice because you're like, I prayed for it. God answered it. So how dare you tell me, get thee behind me, you know? So the Abraham's son was given to him by God, and then God tells him like, yo, this son who you dearly love,
Mapangale. Bring the child.
Yeah, so, and Abraham in that moment, of course, he was conflicted, and you could tell, like you could see in his journey as they were walking towards the mountain, he kept like being so confused. And I think even part of the reason he took his son up to the mountain without the servants was because the servants would try and stop him because they would think he's crazy. And I think that sometimes the things that when God calls us to do, where like other people would be like, why would you stop this? This is working. You know, sometimes we want to let go of things because they're not things make sense logically. This is not working, so I'm going to let it go. But if you're thriving, you're successful, everything is working for you, and then God is like,
in fact, leave it.
I need you to move.
That's where I think now rubber meets the road. Because you have to deal with it. And
I think for Christians, especially when God is the one who has, you know, it's one thing if you've given it to yourself. It's like, imagine, babe, like now, the way you've worked for your music, you've given it 10 years, then like now you make it this year, global artist, nini. And then the next, now 2026, God is like, I need you to step away from music.
Oh. Even people will think you're crazy.
They will.
Because people will be like,
even me, like even let's say now I'm Muhanji, even me, I'll think I'm crazy because I'm like, you know, actually some people usually judge Gideon for asking God for signs, but that would be me. I'd be like, this trunk, make it have leaves. You made it had leaves. Okay, remove the leaves. For sure. Yeah. Hey, no. Is this my doubt speaking and not my faith?
God's standard of perfection is really interesting that you phrase it like that, because even in scripture,
That's how it's phrased in the Bible.
because even in scripture, like Daniel was a great person that even scripture refers him as a spirit of excellence. Like, that's what type of excellence is that? And it's imagine in the whole of scripture, this one person, God has a spirit of excellence. And I think with Bible sort of explains itself. So you have to go to the scripture and ask, how did Daniel live? And I think
what defined him as a man
of excellence. Yeah. So you go to his life, you find he was a man of prayer. You find that he spent time praying every single day.
Thrice.
You know, like this is someone
at the
who
balcony facing the people. Guys, we got here balcony.
wewe hata kwa sitting room unaomba hapo. You know, so it's like his posture, and I think his posture was always that it's God. And something that was very consistent in that book, when the king had a dream and was like, oh, someone come interpret, he was like, give me a day. How sure are you to that level that God will speak to you in a day or your head is gone? You know, like he was so sure that whether God will speak to me in a day, I will come and I will interpret the dream in a minute. So what it means, you know, like it's such a confidence in God that not so many people have. I don't even think I'm there yet in that space. And him having such confidence, because he's like, I spend time with this guy. I know how he speaks, and I know he'll speak to me. When time happens, when now he's thrown in the den, he's very chill. He's like, kuna kitu yenye leo nitanifanyia. Because he's confident about God. It's not even about him. You know me, I pray. Because I don't want to say that this level of excellence that God requires is you have to pray, you have to do this, because it's not like a bunch of things that you go and tick. I think go sit with God and tell God, hey, may I want to have this type of relationship with you. This spirit of excellence, let me have it. When you read, when the book of Daniel starts and we are introduced to Meshach, Shadrach, Abednego, and Daniel, like how they carried themselves, you can see the spirit of excellence. How their posture was so right. So I think it should be a conversation between you and God. Because I think our purposes and the reason we are on earth is deeply tied to the spirit of excellence. Like you have to be excellent at that thing that you are called for. It's not at the generally, so all of us, this is our blank slate of excellence. This is what we do. No, I don't think that should be it.
Don't question God. You know, in fact, like this one is especially true in African homes, because it's almost like you're disrespecting him if you ask him, don't question. Because maybe also our parents were like that. Like if you ask a why, like why? Don't ask me. Hey.
You are a child.
I'm just asking
why I'm asking a question.
Yeah. What do you think of that, Miss?
Hey, it's really interesting because I think, and this, I mean, we don't have kids yet, so I can't be able to really go in on it. But I think how kids view their parents, it has a correlation on how you view God. Because it's like the authority. So I think sometimes with kids, when they ask these questions, and I think it also has a thing to do with now, even God saying, let the children come to me because the kingdom is theirs. Like,
and children are naturally curious.
So you ask things, even sometimes
why
kids are the
why is this color blue?
Ilitengenezwa tu hivyo, like, you know. So I think like God requires that curiosity even from us, where we ask him. And I think even if you tie it with scripture, it's like ask and you will receive.
Or come let us reason together. Yes.
So it's that thing of even Abraham himself questioning God, and he was like, hey, what if there is 100 people? What if there is, you know, it's like, you're not really...
What if there's one? And then I really like the way he was so... I guess it's humble. He was like, God, I'm sorry. I know I'm asking you a lot. But what if there's just one person?
Just one.
And God is like, and God wasn't even frustrated. He was just like, if there's one person...
If there's one, Let's do
So
it.
come, let us reason together. You can ask God questions.
Can ask God things.
Maybe not your parents, but
Yeah,
God you can.
Tricky.
God you can ask.
Can
God
be
you
tricky
can ask.
sometimes. On to me, I think my story is Jonah, the guys from Nineveh, and the fish.
Okay.
Because it's like those stories when you read it, you're like, Sali mezwa tuna fish. Like, you know, it's like...
I think we're all just fascinated by, okay, so how
does it
iliwakaje?
feel?
Like ukiwa uko ndani. Do you know, actually, I think like heaven should have like a hall of fame where all like the people who are written, like the stories were written in the Bible, they have like counseling sessions with everyone. So like as we come and you're like, so I have a couple of questions for you. Eve. Wa. Mbona?
Yeah.
Yani uliacha maembe ukachukua
Apple. Now we have to cry when we go and give birth. Now we have things that...
It's now Jonah. So ulikuwa unadishi nini? Sasa ukitaka kwenda
how? Because wait, it was like 2 or 3 days.
3 days.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Acid za tumbo ikukuchoma. Kivipi? Yeah. So when I think of Jonah, obviously we think about the 3 days, him being spat out.
Yeah.
And then we just think of like his rebellion, and then eventually he now decided to give them a shot, because now he had no other choice. Because you know, I think God was a bit extreme with the approach, because it was like, if I've started with a whale swallowing you, say no again.
Imagine what else I can
say no again.
Nijaribu Jonah uone.
Exactly. You know? Yeah. So I think that for me, that's what I think the story is about, like the 3 days, especially the 3 days. I think like humanity, we're just like, hey, how did that? Yeah. So I think that's what we focus on.